News Network. This is breaking news.
Breaking tonight, Jimmy Carter, the nation's 39th president, has died. He was 100 years old. Thank you for joining us on Wish TV. I'm Tim Spears. Carter's passing comes more than a year after he entered hospice care. In a statement from the Carter Center, it says Carter died peacefully, surrounded by his family at his home in Plains, Georgia, where he and his wife spent most of their lives. Carter was a one-term president, going from little-known Georgia governor to world-renowned humanitarian after leaving the White House. News 8 anchor Phil Sanchez remembers one of President Carter's most known projects and its impact on Indiana families.
When the house was finished and we delivered a Bible and keys to their new house, and we haven't all cried. In fact, I think that's the times in my life when I have wept more than any other for excitement and for gratification that I was privileged, along with my wife, to participate in such a great project.
President Carter and his wife started the Jimmy and Rosalind Carter Work Project with Habitat for Humanity over 35 years ago. He and his wife worked hands-on with volunteers, building houses all around the world. In 2018, President Carter brought the project to Indiana, building and improving 41 homes in Mishawaka and South Bend.
Always was very front and center with talking with the home buyers as well as their children. And then as he's starting to walk away, he turns around and he goes, "Now get back to work." So that very much was former President Carter's attitude. He was a servant leader.
The Carters didn't just show up to the work site. Volunteers actually recall them arriving with tool belts on and hammers in hand, ready to work alongside them.
But, you know, he's in his 90s, and so he's out there and they're volunteering when he has a status level that he could have easily just been a face. He could have easily just done interviews. He could have easily just sort of lent his name and gone back and, you know, had lunch at a hotel, right? So while his name recognition was incredibly high, he was incredibly approachable.
President Carter is leaving behind his humanitarian work, but Habitat for Humanity will continue to honor his legacy. I'm Phil Sanchez for Wish TV, wishtv.com, or follow us on Facebook for updates.
The one-term president, as we saw, had an immense impact around the world and here in the Hoosier State. News 8's Kyla Russell joins us live from the newsroom, where she spent the afternoon chatting with Indiana experts about how he changed lives here in Indiana. Kyla?
Yeah, Tim, so I spent the afternoon learning exactly how the statesman changed the way that Hoosiers viewed the world. Jimmy Carter came into office in 1977 with promises of being a compassionate president here and across the world. It was a time when many people in the Midwest were eager to know how the United States' relationship with allies and foreign adversaries could impact their day-to-day lives. Now, the Midwest was then considered a bellwether of stability after World War II and into the 1970s. But experts say some of Carter's actions set the area on a slightly different trajectory.
It continues to affect people in the Midwest would be the rise of globalization and the way that things became increasingly interconnected, especially after the Vietnam War. So, what happens to manufacturing in the Midwest? What happens to inflation, the price of gasoline, things like that? But all those things happened under Carter. And he was really the first president to begin to grapple with issues that affected people sort of in regions of the country that had been fairly stable.
Now, of course, those are all topics that continue to impact our politics and world now, even here in Indiana. And several experts also told me that Jimmy Carter's life after his presidency impacts Hoosiers today. I'll have more on how exactly that impact sees people here at home tonight at 10 o'clock right here on Wish TV. I'm Kyla Russell for Wish TV, wishtv.com, or follow us on Facebook for updates.
Tonight, President Joe Biden saying with his compassion and moral clarity, he worked to eradicate disease, forge peace, advance civil rights and human rights, promote free and fair elections, house the homeless, and always advocate for the least among us. He saved, lifted, and changed the lives of people all across the globe. And President-elect Trump, the challenges Jimmy faced as president came at a pivotal time for our country, and he did everything in his power to improve the lives of all Americans. For that, We owe him a debt of gratitude.